चर्चा की। पिछले साल भारत ऑस्ट्रेलिया एकटा लागू हुआ। आज हमने सीका कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन एग्रीमेंट पर फोकस करने का निर्णय किया। इससे हमारे व्यापार और आर्थिक सहयोग को और मजबूती तथा नए आयाम मिलेंगे।
Friends, in my meeting with Prime Minister Albanese today, we talked about taking Australia-India comprehensive strategic partnership to greater heights in the next decade. We had detailed discussions on scope for cooperation in new areas. Last year, the India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement came into effect. Today, we have decided to focus on Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. This will further strengthen our economic partnership and open up new avenues for cooperation.
माइनिंग और क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स के क्षेत्र में अपने स्ट्रेटेजिक सहयोग को आगे बढ़ाने पर सकारात्मक चर्चा हुई। रिन्यूएबल ऊर्जा में सहयोग के लिए हमने ठोस एरियाज की पहचान की। ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन पर एक टास्क फोर्स के गठन का निर्णय लिया। कल ऑस्ट्रेलियाई सीईओ से विभिन्न एरियाज में निवेश को लेकर मेरी उपयोगी बात हुई और आज मैं बिजनेस राउंड टेबल में ट्रेड, इन्वेस्टमेंट तथा टेक्नोलॉजी सहयोग पर बात करूंगा।
We had constructive discussions on strengthening our strategic cooperation in the sectors of mining and critical minerals. We identified concrete areas for cooperation and in renewable energy sector. We have decided to set up a task force on green hydrogen. Yesterday, I had useful discussions with Australian CEOs on investments in different areas. And in Business Roundtable today, I will discuss cooperation in trade, investment and technology.
आज माइग्रेशन और मोबिलिटी एग्रीमेंट पर साइन हुआ। यह हमारे लिविंग ब्रिज को और मजबूती देगा। जैसे कि मैंने कल घोषणा की थी, लगातार बढ़ते संबंधों की गहनता के लिए हम जल्दी ही ब्रिस्बेन में नया भारतीय कॉन्सुलेट खोलेंगे और जैसे आपने भी बेंगलुरु की घोषणा की है।
Today, we signed the Migration and Mobility Partnership Agreement. This will further strengthen our living bridge. As I announced yesterday, for our continued deepening relationship, we will soon open a new Indian consulate in Brisbane, just as Australia has announced opening a new consulate in Bengaluru.
Friends, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में मंदिरों पर होने वाले हमलों और अलगाववादी तत्वों की गतिविधियों के संबंध में हमने पहले भी बात की थी और आज भी हमने बात की है। भारत और ऑस्ट्रेलिया के सौहार्दपूर्ण रिश्तों को कोई भी तत्व अपने विचारों या अपने एक्शन से आघात पहुंचाए, ये हमें स्वीकार्य नहीं है। प्रधानमंत्री अल्बनीजी ने इस संदर्भ में जो कदम उठाए हैं, मैं इसके लिए उनको धन्यवाद देता हूं। साथ ही उन्होंने मुझे एक बार फिर आश्वस्त किया है कि वो ऐसे तत्वों के विरुद्ध सख्त एक्शन लेते रहेंगे।
Friends, Prime Minister Albanese and I have in the past discussed the issue of attack on temples in Australia and activities of separatist elements. We discussed the matter today also again. We will not accept any elements that harm the friendly and warm ties between India and Australia by their actions or thoughts. I thank Prime Minister for the actions that have already been taken. Prime Minister Albanese has once again assured me today that he will take strict actions against such elements in the future also.
फ्रेंड्स, भारत ऑस्ट्रेलिया संबंधों का परिप्रेक्ष्य केवल हमारे दो देशों तक सीमित नहीं है। यह क्षेत्रीय स्थिरता, शांति और विश्व कल्याण से भी जुड़ा है। कुछ दिन पहले प्रधानमंत्री अल्बनीज के साथ हिरोशिमा में क्वाड समिट में हमने इंडो पैसिफिक पर भी चर्चा की।
Friends, the scope of India-Australia ties is not limited to merely our two countries. It is also linked to regional stability, peace and global welfare. A few days ago, in Quad Summit in Hiroshima with Prime Minister, we discussed Indo-Pacific issues.
भारत ऑस्ट्रेलिया सहयोग ग्लोबल साउथ की प्रगति में भी लाभकारी हो सकते हैं। वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की भारतीय परंपरा जो पूरी दुनिया को एक परिवार के रूप में देखती है, भारत की G20 प्रेसिडेंसी का मूल मंत्र है। G20 में हमारे इनिशिएटिव्स पर ऑस्ट्रेलिया के समर्थन के लिए मैं प्रधानमंत्री अल्बनीजी का हृदय से धन्यवाद देता हूं।
India-Australia cooperation can be beneficial for the growth of Global South also. The Indian tradition of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam that views the entire world as one family is the central theme of India's G20 presidency. I thank Prime Minister Albanese from the bottom of my heart for Australia's cooperation for our G20 initiatives.
फ्रेंड्स, इस साल भारत में होने वाले क्रिकेट वर्ल्ड कप के लिए मैं प्रधानमंत्री अल्बनीजी और सभी ऑस्ट्रेलियाई क्रिकेट फैंस को भारत आने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं। उस समय आपको क्रिकेट के साथ साथ दिवाली की चमक और धूमधाम भी देखने को मिलेगी।
Friends, I invite Prime Minister Albanese and all Australian cricket fans to India for the Cricket World Cup this year. At that time, you will also get to see the grand celebrations of Diwali in India.
एक्सेलेंसी, इस साल सितंबर में G20 समिट के लिए आपका फिर से भारत में स्वागत करने के लिए मैं बहुत ही उत्साहित हूं। एक बार फिर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Excellency, I am excited to welcome you again in India for the G20 summit in September this year. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So just one of many hugs and interactions there, but this was important. This was the joint statement. And I'll quickly reiterate what the Prime Minister had said. And this was about not just a conversation on trade and investment that was on agenda, but also importantly remember the attack by radicals on Hindu temples that have been taking place in the past few months was also part of the conversation. And according to Prime Minister Modi, Australian Prime Minister Albanese has assured strict action and has taken steps in this regard. Remember, Prime Minister Modi has added that it was about regional stability, peace and global welfare that Australia and India's friendship is significant. But there was also discussion on Indo-Pacific regions. As the G20 presidency theme is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is India is basically one world, it's a global village in itself. And that theme is going to cater to all our conversations with other leaders as well. He's then eventually signed off on a lighter note, but also very interesting to say, I invite Australian Prime Minister and cricket fans to come to Australia during the World Cup that India is set to host later this year, and said that you will also get to see the joy and the beauty during the Diwali festival that India has. So let's get a more understanding on this. Joining me is senior journalist Vishal Monga from Sydney. So the visit coming to an end, but it has been significant in many ways. And we're talking about not just, of course, the friendship, but we're talking about the radical attacks that took place in the temples in different areas. We're talking about the future of the Pacific region as well, Vishal.
See, not only trade, but the important issues related to the temple attack, and also the immigration and migration between both the countries. These issues are related to basically the Australian diaspora here, which was raised by the Indian Prime Minister in the bilateral talks when he spoke to the Australian Prime Minister. Now, Indian Prime Minister has given a message that all Australians are invited for the World Cup. But indeed, what we can say is not only the global issues were raised, but also the local issues were raised during the bilateral talks between the Indian Prime Minister and the Australian Prime Minister. Now, the most important thing is that the trade has been the main focus. After this meeting, there is basically a talk with the CEOs where Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that he will invite them to invest into India, and also transfer of technology can take place between both the countries. So the focus of this bilateral talk, earlier it was just Quad, but now what we can see is the local issues have been raised, and also the important thing is that the Indian Prime Minister has really tried to improve not only cultural ties, but also people-to-people ties, where he's invited all the Australians during the World Cup that is going to be held in India to come to India.
Vishal, do tell us about, let's try and bring highlights from this visit to Australia. This was the final leg of the three-nation tour. Tell us about how, about some of the highlights of this visit for the viewer who's just tuned in, about this visit to Australia and ending this three-nation tour with it.
Yes, indeed. This is a very important bilateral event between India and Australia. Earlier it was a Quad meeting, but because Prime Minister Joe Biden cancelled, so now it's just become between India and Australia. Now, all the important issues between both the countries have been raised, both from the point of view of the Indian diaspora here in Australia and also for the country back in India. So for basically the country, it talks about trade, technology, transfer of technology, migration policy, migration and mobility pact has been pact has been signed between both the prime ministers, which clearly sends a very strong signal saying that both the countries would focus on people-to-people contact, people-to-people ties. That's very important. So what I can tell you is that it's indeed a very big thing that has happened today, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has told the Australian Prime Minister and also the business person of Australia to invest in India, transfer of technology to India, and also to bring in a lot of other vibrant things to India. Now, Prime Minister has yesterday only announced that they will open up a consulate in Brisbane, while on the other hand today, the Australian Prime Minister announced that they will also really open up a consulate in Bangalore.
Is this where the visits concludes now, Vishal, or are we expecting any other event, any interaction right now, or from here on, Prime Minister Modi will be likely leaving back home in some time?
No. So after this meeting, bilateral talks between the Australian Prime Minister and the Indian Prime Minister, Prime Minister Modi will be meeting the top CEOs of business community here in Australia, and afterwards, then there's a dinner at Opera House, and then at around 8 o'clock in the evening, Prime Minister Modi will leave back to India.
Tell us about the Indian Diaspora meeting that also took place, Vishal. That was incredible in so many ways. Not only the arrangements and the preparations, but the cheers that we saw, the interactions that Prime Minister eventually also managed to shake hands and acknowledge the support of some of those people of the diaspora who had come. And that perhaps in many ways was very different from otherwise official business level meetings.
Yes, indeed, it was a big welcome for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. 20,000 plus people from Indian diaspora had come to meet and greet Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The whole environment was very electrifying, and people were really, they waited for Prime Minister Modi's visit. When Prime Minister Modi came in, he said that he will visit back to Australia as soon as possible. But indeed, what has happened is the Indian community has been making preparations for this whole event for last 1 month. There has been lot of hard work of Indian diaspora that has gone around, and not only people from Melbourne, Sydney, from various cities of Australia, people came in, and they were basically they really greeted their leader, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a very heroic style. Even the Prime Minister of Australia said that that Prime Minister Modi is the boss. So there's those words, and what happened was that all the top politicians of New South Wales were present during that ceremony that happened yesterday, that inside the stadium. So indeed, it was a big event that took place at Sydney Olympic Stadium.
Stay on with me, Vishal, because in a while we'll, of course, play again what the Prime Minister said. And speaking in Hindi, he also said that, of course, we discussed trade and investment. But he also added that as Vasudev Kutumbakam, which is world is one family, as our G20 presidency theme is, that's how we are taking our interactions forward with the rest of the leaders as well. You're looking at the diaspora interaction there on your screen. You're looking at the official meetings that are taking place with the counterpart of both countries. But very importantly, he said to take this forward, to welcome both countries in each other's territory in a way with new consulate in Brisbane of India, for a new Indian consulate in Brisbane very soon. But similarly, a new Australian consulate will be in Bengaluru also. Also talking about, very importantly, as the Indian community had started to see the attacks coming in from the radicals on Hindu temples. This was part of the conversation. Prime Minister Albanese has taken steps assuring strict action against such elements. But eventually, Vishal, as I come to you, this is about peace, regional stability and global welfare. And we need to go beyond USA and the UK to take the lead in it. And that is where India and Australia by themselves coming together, just like we did with Japan, is very significant, specifically for the Indo-Pacific region.
Yes, indeed. If you look at the world setup, China is emerging as a big threat for the area. And that is why this Quad meeting between America, India, Japan and Australia is very important. Now, this meeting, this bilateral ties really strengthen what has earlier been initiated by the Liberal government. Now, there is Labour government in power, and they basically have really taken forward what was considered to be an initiative by the Liberal government. We were talking to yesterday to the Liberal leaders. They say they initiated the whole process, and now the Labour government is trying to really strengthen with the ties between India and Australia, which is very important. So that is why these steps, these small steps really strengthen, which really points to one fact, that Australia is ready. Be Liberals in power, be Labour in power, the Australian government is ready to strengthen its ties, not only on trade, but strategic ties. Because Labour here in Australia is considered to be pro-China. But these warm meetings really send a very strong signal to the Chinese government. This really points out to one fact, that the Australian and Indian relationship are not dependent on the party position, but this is a stand which will go on for a long time between India and Australia.
Vishal, what are we expecting after this? When you're talking about the business honchos and businessmen, that meeting, didn't it take place earlier as well? Because this is going to be a very important part of the visit. This will be largely reaching out to the Australian business community, and there will be, of course, investment options looking at India. So do tell us about that meeting after, because this is, you're telling us there's going to be a meeting with the Australian counterpart. There is a business honchos that are going to be interacting with. So a very important part of this visit is still pending.
Yes, indeed. This is just basically what has happened is between the government to government. And right now what we'll see is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will talk to top businessmen, and basically he will invite them to invest into India. That is the main focus of the whole process that is going on. After this whole bilateral talks between the Australian Prime Minister and the Indian Prime Minister, Prime Minister Modi will talk to the top businessmen of Australia tell them about the policy decision of their government and try to persuade them to invest not only money but also technology, new technology. The stress was basically given on the word that technology transfer should take place because Australia has highly skilled technology which need to be transferred to India. So that is what the Prime Minister said, that they will focus on investment and transfer of technology to India.
Stay on with me, Vishal, because while we're looking at these visuals, just to put it in perspective for the viewer as well, just about a few minutes ago, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese gave out a joint statement about the ties, the friendship between the two countries, but also the people-to-people link, the investment and trade hub that India can become with regard to Australia, and Indian diaspora contributing to the democracy in Australia, as Australian Prime Minister said. So first, listen in to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said. He spoke in Hindi. It was, of course, translated, but it had some very important, concise, crisp points. Here's what he said.
आज प्रधानमंत्री अल्बनीज़ी से वार्ता में हमने अगले दशक में अपनी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप को नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाने पर बात की। नए क्षेत्रों में आपसी सहयोग की संभावनाओं पर विस्तार में चर्चा की। पिछले साल भारत ऑस्ट्रेलिया एकता लागू हुआ। आज हमने सीका कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन एग्रीमेंट पर फोकस करने का निर्णय किया। इससे हमारे व्यापार और आर्थिक सहयोग को और मजबूती तथा नए आयाम मिलेंगे।
Well, thank you very much, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Prime Minister Modi here to Australia. And I'm pleased to meet Prime Minister Modi so soon after our productive meeting in Hiroshima for the 2023 Quad Leaders Summit.
But apart from these official meetings in Australia for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it was a rockstar welcome in Sydney with regard to meeting the diaspora as well. The Indian diaspora was all out, and this impressing not only the Australian Prime Minister, but of course the Indian Prime Minister as well, and the manner in which it was received. Anthony Albanese called Modi the boss. The Prime Minister in his speech also dwelled on the factors that connect both countries and how it can add on to perhaps the friendship, the trade and investment issues, and importantly, security and stability of the region.
Hugs, handshakes, high fives and a traditional welcome. The Narendra Modi Anthony Albanese bonhomie took centre stage at the Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney Olympic Park. An enthusiastic crowd of over 20,000 even stunned the Australian Prime Minister.
I said to my friend the Prime Minister before, the last time I saw someone on the stage here was Bruce Springsteen, and he didn't get the welcome that Prime Minister Modi has got. Prime Minister Modi is the boss.
After a rock star welcome, the Prime Minister took to the stage among chants of Modi Modi. His opening remarks an acknowledgement of the deep Indian-Australian ties.
क्रिकेट की फील्ड पर मुकाबला जितना रोचक होता है, उतनी ही गहरी ऑफ द फील्ड हमारी दोस्ती है। दिल्ली स्ट्रीट, बॉम्बे स्ट्रीट, कश्मीर एवेन्यू, मालाबार एवेन्यू जैसी कितनी ही सड़कें यहां ऑस्ट्रेलिया में आपको भारत से जोड़े रखती है।
The Prime Minister also hailed the soft power that binds the two nations.
हमारे बीच भौगोलिक दूरी जरूर है, लेकिन हिंद महासागर हमें आपस में जोड़ता है। हमारी जीवन शैलियां भले अलग अलग हो, लेकिन अब योगा ये भी हमें जोड़ता है। क्रिकेट से तो हम ना जाने कब से जुड़े हुए हैं, लेकिन अब टेनिस और फिल्में भी हमें जोड़ रही है। हमारे यहां खाना बनाने का तरीका भले अलग अलग है, लेकिन अब मास्टर शेफ हमें जोड़ता है।
As the representative of world's largest democracy, Prime Minister Modi presented India and the values it stands for on a global stage.
भारत हजारों वर्षों की जीवंत सभ्यता है। भारत मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी है। हमने समय के अनुसार खुद को ढाला है, लेकिन अपने मूल सिद्धांतों पर, फंडामेंटल्स पर हमेशा टिके रहे हैं।
आलाजी तारा हाथ वखाणो के पट्टी तारा पगड़ा वखाणो। आलाजी तारा हाथ वखाणो।
Ahead of the mega Diaspora event, Indian culture was on full show in Sydney. From Garba to Natu Natu, the sights and sounds of India swept over Sydney. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, time for a very quick commercial break. Some other stories after that. I'm going to tell you about the unparliamentary politics that's erupted over the new Sansad. Congress, Trinamool Congress, Aam Aadmi Party will boycott the inauguration of the new parliament building because they say the president hasn't even been invited to inaugurate as is protocol usually. Let's get you the latest after a very short break.
The heart of India's tech industry hosts a tectonic event. The latest updates in technology and innovation. The biggest names in Indian tech under one roof. From AI to 5G. From EVs to data security. Discover how technology is transforming our lives. Catch all the action at the BT Tech Today Congress in Bengaluru on June 2nd. Live across the Business Today multiverse.
Traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct. Setting the tone for the biggest stories. From every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
There's been unparliamentary politics that's erupted over the new parliament inauguration by Prime Minister Modi. That's on 28 May. Now, the Bharatiya Janata Party is facing a massive heat from the opposition with the joining of the chorus of objections, arguing the head of the legislature should be performing the inauguration, which is the president of the country, not the head of the government. After Trinamool Congress, the Congress Party, Aam Aadmi Party, the Communist Party, the CPI, CPM, they are all going to boycott the new Parliament building that's inauguration scheduled on 28. TMC's MP Derek O'Brien launched a scathing attack and said Prime Minister inaugurating the Parliament means he's just obsessed with himself. Aam Aadmi Party lashed out at the centre, calling it an insult to Draupadi Murmu. Congress also joined the boycott and said, accusing the Prime Minister of breaching constitutional propriety. The Bharatiya Janata Party, of course, not sitting back. They have also hit back at the opposition parties and their charges. They are alleging that they lack national spirit. Sense of pride in India's progress that should have been shown by the opposition has not been done. They're also quoting history where Rajiv Gandhi and Indira Gandhi as PMs had inaugurated different parts of the parliament.
Studies and training, a computer center and a microphone unit. Speaking on the occasion, the Prime Minister hoped that the new library will be a milestone in the history of our parliament.
भारतीय संसद भारत की उद्यमशीलता और क्षमता का परिचायक है। कैसी कैसी बात की जा रही है। पहले इसका विरोध किया गया, फिर स्पॉन्सर्ड पीआईएल कराया गया, उसमें क्या क्या नहीं कहा गया, याद है आपको मोदी जी के बारे में। अब फिर कभी शेर की मुस्कुराहट पर आपत्ति।
ये इनॉग्रेशन राष्ट्रपति करते तो ठीक होता। नरेंद्र मोदी अपना प्रचार करने चाहते हैं कि वही पार्लियामेंट का बिल्डिंग बनाया, ये हमें अच्छा नहीं लगा।
मुझे लगता है कि कुछ हमारी ये जो राजनीतिक सिस्टम है और कुछ लोगों को ये जो राजनीतिक क्या कहते हैं रोटियां सेकने की आदत पड़ गई है। अगर आपके हेड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट इनॉग्रेट कर सकते हैं पार्लियामेंट की एनेक्सी को और लाइब्रेरी को, तो हम इस समय के हेड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट क्यों नहीं कर सकते? सिंपल इज दैट। मुझे लगता है कि ये दिस वाज अ वेरी पुअर अटेम्प्ट एट क्रिएटिंग ए डाइवर्जन।
Aam Aadmi Party's national convener, who's also Delhi Chief Minister, Arvind Kejriwal, has been on a mission. He wants to forge a united opposition and in this fight against the centre's recent ordinance on the Delhi government powers. While the Trinamool Congress and the Janata Dal United have decided to show solidarity to the Aam Aadmi Party and the Delhi government, the Congress hasn't really taken a stand yet. They're waiting still. Several party leaders, though, have also hit out at Kejriwal for his anti-Congress stand that he's taken in the past. Could there be an anti-Modi front by 2024 or is it still a pipe dream? Here's our special report as we try to analyze that.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट का आदेश आया था जिसमें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने
Amid a fiery showdown over the centre's ordinance taking over the Delhi government's transfer posting powers, a shot in the arm for Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, with TMC Supremo Mamta Banerjee backing his fight against the Narendra Modi government. Kejriwal and Mamta Banerjee put up a united front in Kolkata on Tuesday, vowing to defeat the centre's ordinance in the Rajya Sabha.
नॉन बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट को काम ही नहीं करने देते। हमने वेस्ट बंगाल में भी देखा गवर्नर कैसे तंग कर रहे हैं, हमने वहाँ भी देखा, पंजाब में भी देख रहे हैं, पूरे तमिलनाडु में देख रहे हैं, तेलंगाना में देख रहे हैं किस तरह से गवर्नर तंग कर रहे हैं। और अब दिल्ली के अंदर इन्होंने जो किया वो तो बिल्कुल ही जनतंत्र के खिलाफ है। एक तरह से ये बोल रहे हैं कि हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट को भी नहीं मानते, तो ये इनको बहुत ज़्यादा अहंकार हो गया है।
हमारा पार्टी के लिए मैं सब पार्टी को अपील करेंगे कि अगर हर पार्टी हम एक साथ में अपोजिशन हो सकता है, दिस इज द मौका है, तो एक बहुत बड़ा मैसेज जाएगा देश के लिए कि हम बीजेपी को राज्यसभा में हरा सकते हैं, तो ऑर्डिनेंस भी जा सकता है। हमारा पार्टी से हम डिसाइड किया है हम ये ऑर्डिनेंस को विरोध करेंगे।
The Aam Aadmi Party convener will also be meeting Shiv Sena UBT chief Uddhav Thackeray to rally support. The meeting between Kejriwal and Mamta comes just days after Bihar Chief Minister and the man at the forefront of forging a united opposition front rallied behind Aam Aadmi Party's fight.
जब गवर्नमेंट बनाई जाती है, इलेक्टेड सरकार बनती है, तो उनको जो अधिकार दिया गया है उसको कैसे आप हटा सकते हैं? इसलिए तो हम लोग कह रहे हैं कि सारे देश में सब लोग एकजुट हों।
But amid this repeated attempt to forge a united anti-Modi front, the absence of similar support from the Congress has set forth rife speculation. Multiple regional Congress leaders have refused to back Kejriwal's fight, with senior Congress leader Ajay Makan being the latest to lay out reasons against supporting the Aam Aadmi Party's ordinance battle.
इससे पहले जितने भी मुख्यमंत्री रहे दिल्ली के, इससे पहले जितने भी मेट्रोपॉलिटन काउंसिल चेयरमैन रहे या मेयर इन काउंसिल के चेयरमैन रहे, जो पावर्स हैं, जो ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग्स की, वो हमेशा केंद्र सरकार के पास में रही है। अब डर इनको ये है कि ये फंस रहे हैं, डर ये है कि शराब घोटाले में फंस रहे हैं, डर ये है कि ये शीश महल बनाया है उसके अंदर फंस रहे हैं, और उस चीज से लोगों का ध्यान दूसरी तरफ ले जाने के लिए और बचने के लिए ट्रांसफर और पोस्टिंग्स का फायदा कर रहे हैं।
The numbers are stacked against Kejriwal. But will the central ordinance nudge opposition parties to form a united anti-Modi front in time before the 2024 battle? Bureau Report, India Today.
News coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. Former Chief Minister of J&K Farooq Abdullah's daughter Safia decided to mock the G20 meeting with sharing some pictures. The meeting is still underway in Srinagar. While the grand event is showcasing the culture of the valley, trying to invite tourism and at least is a symbolism and significance with regard to the changing faces of Kashmir Valley, Safia Abdullah called it a facade to hide the troops on the ground. Here's a report.
It's the first international event in Jammu and Kashmir since the abrogation of Article 370. The G20 meet in Srinagar, showcasing culture and heritage of the valley to the world. With star power shining bright, RRR superstar Ram Charan shaking a leg to Natu Natu with delegates. The meet is a raging hit. Over 60 international delegates are attending the G20 Tourism Working Committee meet. Amid terror threats, the event is taking place under an unprecedented security blanket.
We are in Kashmir. There are issues when it comes to security, and it's the reason why they do not want to, the authorities here do not want to take any chance and have placed heavy security deployment. We've seen have placed security personnel at every nook and corner of the city, ensuring that the visiting delegation, the dignitaries who are here, have a smooth visit and also get to see the important sites here in Srinagar.
While a new era is clearly being ushered in the Kashmir Valley, Farooq Abdullah's daughter Safia has mocked the global meet. Safia Abdullah Khan on Tuesday posted a photograph of a security personnel standing behind a G20 hoarding in Srinagar, apparently to mock and claim that normalcy in the valley is a facade. Safia faced a backlash on Twitter over her tweet, with a section of users slamming her for her elite hypocrisy, lack of responsibility, and clear lack of ethics in putting out pictures of the location of security personnel in Srinagar. Netizens called her an irresponsible Kashmiri elite who was putting security men at risk by tweeting their pictures. Worse, Pakistani terror group the Resistance Front found Safia's picture worthy enough to pick up and brand as their own. While members of her family, including father Farooq Abdullah and brother Omar, are prominent and credible politicians in the Kashmir Valley, has Safia Abdullah betrayed a mindset that Naya Kashmir no longer has any place for? Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, days after the Congress government came to power in Karnataka, Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar has warned police officials over law and order situation in the state. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and D.K. Shivkumar, who's the Deputy CM, who chaired a crucial meeting with the top police officers on Tuesday. Sources are telling India Today television that the duo told them that the new Congress government will not allow saffronization of the police department. Talking about the involvement of an ADGP rank official in a PSI scam allegedly, D.K. Shivkumar said it showed how bad the department was, accusing the police of filing false cases against Congress leaders, workers under the Bomai government. The duo have asked them to change their attitude. Sources claim that Chief Minister Siddaramaiah instructed police to be vigilant about moral policing as well.
No more moral policing. No question of wearing all this saffronization, putting before a police station and sitting, all these things. There is no more. No more this drugs. No more any rowdyism activities. All will be responsible. All clubs, unauthorized, whatever is there, whatever unauthorization, club illegal activities are there, should be closed. No harassing people. Cordial atmosphere should be there. And we should give a corruption-free government.
We're getting news from the southern state of Tamil Nadu. Another temple has been attacked in the state. Temple idols were found broken and lying on the ground when priests of a Shiv temple in Tirupur entered the premises in the morning to check. Attempts were allegedly made to break the collection box as well. Police and district officials have been contacted. They reached the spot, apprehended a man who was hiding near the base of the temple entrance. Meanwhile, state BJP President Annamalai slammed the Stalin government for increasing temple attacks in the state, as he claimed. He further said the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam government in Tamil Nadu will be responsible for consequences if temples continue to be attacked and urged the Tamil Nadu police to immediately arrest real culprits.
No political activity should be encouraged inside a temple, church or a mosque. That's a given. But at the same point of time, RSS being a cultural, dharmic and spiritual organization, that should be a different yardstick rather than comparing it to a political organization. So I would submit to Honorable Travancore Devasam Board not to have such a hard and fast stand, rather be inclusive.
Let's move on to other stories now. While the wrestlers have been vowed to keep their fight on their demands are met against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who's the federation chief, they are still very defiant. But the federation chief is also very confident that the allegations are all false. On Tuesday, he dismissed the protests as won by simply a small section of wrestlers, even if these wrestlers, remember, are international level winners and have brought laurels to India. He described the sexual harassment charges as a fight over good touch and bad touch. Here's a report.
1 month after hitting the streets to demand justice, India's champion wrestlers took out a candle march in the capital. Their fight against Wrestling Federation of India chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who is facing charges of sexual harassment, is turning out to be a grueling one.
सभी बड़े बुजुर्गों ने एक फैसला लिया है कि 28 तारीख को संसद भवन के सामने नई संसद भवन के सामने महिलाओं का महापंचायत होगा और महिलाएं इसको लीड करेंगी और जितने भी हमारी बड़ी माताएं हैं बहनें हैं जो हमारे साथ में समर्थन में आएंगी और हम चाहते हैं कि वो बढ़ चढ़ के हिस्सा लें क्योंकि अगर ये आवाज़ उठी है तो ये आवाज़ दूर तक जानी चाहिए.
The man facing the charges, a BJP MP from Kesarganj, is defiant from day one, spewing one insult after another.
ये जो मुकदमा है ये
Brij Bhushan's remarks triggered sharp reactions from the wrestlers.
ब्रिज भूषण तो अपने घर पे चेयर पे बैठ के कुछ भी अनाप शनाप बातें बोल रहा है और कुछ भी बोल रहा है, मतलब उससे तो इसको पता लग जाना चाहिए किस किस्म का और किस माइंडसेट का आदमी है ये. तो स्ट्रगल तो हम ही कर रहे हैं, वो तो अपना फ्री बैठा है, ऐसे जैसे उसका कोई कुछ कर ही नहीं सकता है, ऐसे जैसे वो देश का प्रधानमंत्री वही है और उसका कोई कुछ भी बाल बाका नहीं कर सकता है. तो उस एटीट्यूड से वो बैठा है, तो बैठे हैं हम भी, तब तक वो गिरफ्तार नहीं हो जाता है, जब तक न्याय नहीं मिल जाता हम बैठे हैं.
They have now reiterated their demand for a polygraph and narco test on the WFI chief.
हम तो 15 दिन से बोल रहे हैं कि नार्को टेस्ट करा लो. उन्होंने कल ही अचानक से क्यों बोला कि पहले हमारा होना चाहिए. बिल्कुल होना चाहिए, हमारा होना चाहिए. जो 7 लड़कियां हैं, बजरंग है, सबका होना चाहिए, लेकिन पहले उनका होना चाहिए, फिर हमारा होना चाहिए. जो भी दोषी होगा उसको सजा मिल जानी चाहिए.
It was on April 23rd the wrestlers reignited their protest in the heart of the national capital. This time, 7 athletes went to the police to file complaint of sexual harassment against Brij Bhushan. One of the alleged victims was a minor. But even to get an FIR filed, the athletes who have made India proud on the biggest global stage had to move the Supreme Court. What upset the wrestlers more than anything was the reaction of the Indian Olympic Association chief PT Usha, an Olympian herself.
वो लोग पहले थोड़ा तो डिसिप्लिन तो होना चाहिए, है ना.
So they should come to us earlier if they have a real problem. Instead of coming to us, they are gone straight away to street. No, it is not good for the sports.
The wrestlers found the silence of other sports icons troubling. The administration has attempted every trick in the book to break the wrestlers' will. The electricity supply to the venue was cut in peak summer. A scuffle with the police one night saw them reduced to tears. But the wrestlers are in no mood to give up yet. Bureau Report, India Today.
Khadija Shah, who is the granddaughter of former Army Chief Khwaja Asif Janjua, has been arrested. She has been accused of being the mastermind, allegedly, of the attack on the Jinnah House or the Corps Commander House in Lahore. This, remember, happened on the 9th of May, the absolute mayhem that had followed, where people even looted all the items inside. Here's more on that.
Khadija Shah, Pakistan's most wanted, a top Pakistani fashion designer, who is also the granddaughter of a former Army Chief General Khwaja Asif Janjua and daughter of former Pakistan Finance Minister Salman Shah, has been accused of being the mastermind behind the violence inside Corps Commander Lieutenant General Salman Fayaz Ghani's home in Lahore. A big follower of Imran Khan, Khadija is now playing her dual citizenship card and talks about obtaining help from the embassy.
I am a dual citizen. I want recourse to law. I have been trying to arrange my legal counsel, and I have been trying to talk to my embassy to figure out ways of dealing with this situation.
Acting on a tip-off from Khadija's husband, Jahan Zeb, who is in the custody, the police conducted a raid on an apartment in Gulberg. Pakistan TV channel Geo News is reporting that the Punjab police has arrested the wanted designer. Khadija, however, claims she had no hand in the vandalism of Pakistani general's house. An audio has surfaced in which Khadija can be heard saying that she did not enter the Jinnah house.
मैं कभी भी जो उधर का राउंड अबाउट है उससे मैंने आगे पाँव नहीं रखा मैं कभी भी मैंने जिन्ना हाउस का बैरिकेड क्रॉस नहीं किया
Pakistani journalist Meher Tarar in her tweet claims that false or unsubstantiated accusations have been hurled at Khadija. She also posted a picture calling Khadija a patriot. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, I'm heading into a very short commercial break. Some sports news after, and it is about the IPL final because Chennai Super Kings, the CSK, has managed to enter into their record 10th IPL final. They beat defending champions Gujarat Titans by 15 runs. That and more after a very short break.
Continues to grow as the storyline grows.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Chennai Super Kings made it to the record 10th IPL final as they beat defending champions Gujarat Titans by 15 runs in qualifier 1. Ruturaj Gaikwad was named player of the match for his half-century. Put into bat first, it was Chennai's opening pair yet again starting with a bang. Ruturaj Gaikwad survived because of a no-ball after being caught and made the most of that opportunity, smashing a half-century. Chennai lost their first wicket in Gaikwad, but with Conway, Rahane, Raidu and Jadeja chipping in a few quick runs, hosts scored 172 for the loss of 7 wickets in their 20 overs. In reply, Gujarat did not have a great start. Apart from Shubman Gill scoring from one end, the top order failed miserably with skipper Hardik Pandya, David Miller, Rahul Tewatia scoring only in single digits. Rashid Khan made a quick fire, 30-run knock of 16 balls lower down the order, but that wasn't enough for the GT as they were bundled out for 157 with Deepak Chahar, Ravindra Jadeja, Mahesh Thikshana and Matisha Pathirana picking up 2 wickets apiece.
That's in the air.
Royal Challengers Bangalore's IPL is over and their main star player Virat Kohli has travelled to England now to prepare for the World Test Championship final. Unfortunately, some fans appear to not have moved on even now from the IPL loss, and this has adversely affected another Indian batsman. It's Shubman Gill. He is at the end of receiving abuse on social media, trolling that he is facing. The question is what can be done to ensure this does not repeat in future. We have a special report on this issue of what happened with regard to Virat Kohli and Shubman Gill's performance.
Rest so that it's not that a great important match, but
when Virat Kohli took to social media to thank RCB fans for their support in the 2023 IPL season, there was one elephant in the room he failed to address. Shubman Gill's century in the final group game had denied RCB a spot in the playoffs as Gujarat went on to win, and thus led to plenty of hate comments on his social media posts.
Centuries at the end of this league stage and takes them.
Former India captain Sunil Gavaskar believes that one way for the abuse to stop is for Kohli himself to appeal to fans not to spread hate against the promising youngster.
And now through.
Generally, the whole team is around Kohli. What I would like him to do really is with the abuse that has been directed at Shubman Gill and his sister, as you just informed me. Maybe for him to come out with something like that to all the people who are doing it. They may not necessarily be all RCB fans, but mostly they would be RCB fans. To ask them maybe that to accept that a special talent was the one that defeated them yesterday and denied them the chance of getting into a playoff, something like that, because of the fact that he himself has hailed Gill as the future star, the next generation, in an earlier sort of thing that he had put up. So maybe in case he makes that kind of an appeal, that'll work, is what I think.
And it is worth noting that Kohli has taken matters into his own hands previously as well, appealing to fans during the 2019 ICC World Cup to stop giving former Australia captain Steve Smith a hard time. Yet perhaps the best thing cricketers can do is to lead by example and play the game in the right spirit and not add fuel to fire. After all, they might forget about any temporary abuse or trolling, but fans do not, and this will only lead to worse situations in the future. Sports Bureau, India Today.
71 games, 52 days of action, and after that IPL 2023's league stages have been completed. There have been some memorable matches, some tragic moments and one exhibition of batting that has been edged onto the mind of millions of people and for a long time. So we prepared 5 memorable moments in